Okay, mics are live.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Shamong Township Committee meeting of August 6, 2024. Sue, would you read the sunshine statement, please?
Please be advised, proper notice of this meeting has been given in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd ask you, we invite you to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you Brian Stair. Brian, come on up, please. Come on up on the dais. Brian is a deacon. Go on way up here. Brian is a deacon at one of our churches here in Shamong, and I've asked him to give us an opening prayer for tonight.
Sure. My name is Brian Starr. I'm a member of Crossroads Community Church. So if you know where La Comp is, right next door, you see that building that's not all aesthetically pleasing. That's us. We've been here for about 20 years in the community. We do a few things like the food pantry, feeding about 24 families here in the community that's in need and just struggle with basic needs and a few other things. We hope that we continue to answer the bell when the township needs it, and we're happy to serve our community. So it's a privilege for me to be here. Thank you for having us here.
Thank you, Brian, for coming.
Yeah. Let's bow and pray. Father, we thank you for this day and its blessings, Lord. We thank you that we get to live in a township that is just a wonderful place to live, with good neighbors and good people, Lord. One thing that I was asked to pray for was Corey Comporator. He was the firefighter that lost his life during the assassination attempt of former President Trump. And so we lift up his family, his wife, his two daughters, his parents, and all that knew him and loved him. Their lives will never be the same as a result of that loss. We also pray for the continued healing of the two others that were injured. We pray that they are surrounded by their loved ones and continue to heal and return to full strength and full health. And Lord, we pray for our community. There are many here in our township that are underserved, that need you, and we continue to lift them up and pray. We thank you for this board of leaders here. We thank you for all those here in the room. We thank you for all the firefighters here and the EMT squad and others that serve and put themselves in harm's way for us, Lord. Continue to guide us. We love you and we thank you, Jesus. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Pleasure having you. Stay right here. All the firefighters, please come up. And if you can just stand along the front here. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask each of the firefighters to introduce themselves so that you know who in our community is serving. John, why don't we start with you? Nobody knows you.
Everybody knows me. The guy comes every meeting. John Lyons, Emergency Management Coordinator and Fire Police Captain for Union Mills Fire.
My name is Colin Swenson, firefighter with Indian Mills.
Michelle Wells, fire police for Indian Township Fire.
My name is Josh Davenport, I'm a firefighter with Indian Mills.
My name is Daniel Schmitz. I'm the newest member of the fire department.
Mark Ramsey, I'm a firefighter with the department.
Jim Hoffner, fire police.
Mike Hartman, fire police.
Sue Wilson, captain for fire.
Okay, Chief.
Paul Miller, assistant chief. Charlie Bergen, lieutenant and president of the fire company.
Gentlemen, I give you the Indian Mills Volunteer Fire Company. So we live at a time unlike any other in America. So world events are happening so fast. When we last met last month, since then we've had assassination attempt on President Trump. We've had Corey Comporator killed. We've had two others severely injured. We've had a president who was forced, I think it's the closest thing we'll ever see to a coup, or we have seen, forced from power. We have all of these events going on around the world that you may be following, like in Bangladesh or in London or in Israel. So I wanted to take the time to make sure that you know who is protecting you. These men and women are not paid. They're your volunteers. They don't receive tax dollars. We try and do what we can. But when you see them, I'd ask you to support them and to keep an eye out for them, have their back, so to speak. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I really appreciate what you do for our town, and I appreciate you all coming out this evening. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, goodbye, Chief. Thank you, sir.
I saw you driving the fire truck the other day.
Thank you, guys. Thanks. Now, we won't be upset if you guys don't stay for the whole meeting. It's all right. Just a couple things, we'll get started underway, a couple of announcements. We talked about the last couple months that school taxes are going up, so your property taxes are going to be severely increased. The average home is going to be about $300 to $350 extra next year.
That's actually more than that.
Yeah. Tell me more. Tell me more. I'm really.
It's closer to $700 per the average assessed house. The average assessed house is about 310,000. And that's on the tax records, not the market price. So just keep that in mind. So if you look at your assessed value on your tax bill, that'll give you an idea what your tax bill is going to come in at.
So as you can imagine, I'm not happy. We have written to the governor. We're in touch with our state representatives. We ask that you do the same. Your taxes for Shamong are going up $12 for the entire year for next year. So $1 a month. But all the school taxes and the county taxes are going to take, I was told $350. Maybe they're playing games, as we talked about before. Sometimes they say we're going to cut it by 10 million and then you get 5 million back and you think you're happy. But I just want to make everybody aware, just to be have that on your radar now that you're seeing your electric bills, what's going on with that, your food bills. So we have to stick together and try and, number one, support our farmers. And number two, just be aware, make sure your house is prepared to have foodstuffs and water and things like that. Our quarterly taxes, Sue, they were due on August 1.
They're due on August 1st, but as the county hadn't struck the tax rate yet, we only just recently started getting the information. It's being verified by our office here in this building tonight. And we're hoping to have the tax bills out within the next 2 weeks. There's several layers to that onion as well, getting everything verified. Confirmation's gone back and forth between the county and ourselves, but we hope to have them mailed out within the next 2 weeks. That means that the due date has been shifted out, just as it has for every year that I've been here. And what happens is on your tax bill, you'll see what the new due date is. If you miss that date in payment, interest gets charged back to August 1st. So it's important to not miss it. And I believe you get like 20 days from the date of mailing to pay it by.
Okay.
And then remember, it's going to mess up your next payment because you're going to pay that sometime in September, and then November 1st, you'll be due again. So it's going to feel like a double hit, but remember, you've had a delay for your August payment.
Thank you, Sue. Okay, just a quick update on 4 matters that have been on people's minds. I met with Lieutenant Salvato of the Red Line Police Department over 4 matters. One was the issue at Whitlock's. One was Flyett, Murphy's Pit, and the excessive dog noise on Oakshade property. So we've reached out for all of the state police, number 1, for the attorney general, number 2, for the health department, number 3. All those issues are on our radar. There are violation notices that are pending on some of them, and others are just in the investigation stage. So I just wanted to let you know, in reply to your comments from last month, that we've taken those concerns and we've acted on them, and we're waiting to see, what happens next. As many of you know, I'm a big property rights guy. So anybody everybody's got their rights. And if somebody makes an allegation against you, we're going to make sure that you get all the rights and privileges that you're accorded to under our Constitution. At the same time, we're looking to make sure that people's lives aren't disrupted. If there's a nuisance going on, we will take action. So with that, I guess we're going to do the proclamation that we have this evening. So we're going to honor Vicki Olson. Vicki, come on up. So ladies and gentlemen, this is Vicki Olson. She is the founder of the Sunshine and Smiles And we want to recognize her for her volunteering services to our area senior citizens. Vicki Olson founded the Sunshine and Smiles in August 2020. She and her husband Mark moved to Shamong in 2023, where Vicki channeled her planning, volunteer coordinating, fundraising, and community outreach skills to bring sunshine and smiles to seniors in local nursing homes, one holiday at a time. Whereas Vicki coordinates donation of gift bags and gifts distributed to local area nursing homes on Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Easter and Father's Day, birthdays, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Whereas she recently has applied her talents to assist with the senior prom held at the Mount Holly Rehabilitation and Nursing Center in June of 2024. That was a neat function. And whereas she has served 9 nursing homes with 1,086 stocking places here. Neil, thank you for your gifts. You brought many over to the office. And she is currently utilizing a Christmas in July campaign along with Amazon wish list, Venmo, PayPal, and drop-off locations to collect gifts and resources. Okay, there's a box in my office.
I was gonna say, we actually did a count today and had over 3,700 items, so we're almost close to 1,000 stockings in this year.
Wow, that's great. She has served her community through several other organizations, including the Animal Welfare Association, Hope United Methodist Church, and the New Jersey School Fair. Now therefore be it proclaimed, the Shamong Township Committee recognizes Vicki Olson of the Sunshine and Smiles for her dedication and extreme level of volunteer services to our local residents, senior residents.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It started all during COVID. My grandmother just could not understand what COVID was, why no one was visiting her. And it made me realize she is in the UK, but it made me realize that there are probably plenty of other residents locally who also have no idea what's going on and why people aren't reaching out. It started with 120 stockings. Last year was 1,086. This year we're already well on the way to 1,000. And we do cover all the holidays. We just did the prom, which was so much fun that most of the seniors have never done a prom before. And so we had dresses for them and food and goodie bag, you name it, we did it. If you want to see, we have a Facebook page. All the photos are on there from the prom and any events and things that we're doing. We're always looking for volunteers to take projects home or to come with us and pack stockings. We'll probably be doing a stocking packing event in September and getting ready for Christmas. So please reach out to me if you have anyone that's interested. We have a lot of kids that participate, a lot of schools that participate. But thank you. I really appreciate it.
Very
Thank
well.
you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You do.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Mayor, before we jump into the rest of the agenda, just a bit of housekeeping, just into the record that in lieu of roll call, obviously all 5 members of the committee are present tonight.
Got it. Great. Thanks. We jumped ahead there. All right, next, what we're going to do is open the meeting up to public comment. Invite anybody that would like to say anything, come on up. Just be respectful of your time. We don't have time limits and we'll listen to whatever you have to say. So just identify yourself and where you live and come on up and well, you will be heard.
So Bill Ryan, 1 Stony Creek,
Hi, Bill.
across from Murphy's Pit, my wife Anastasia.
Hi, Anastasia. Good.
So appreciate you that you have raised this issue with the state police. The problems continue with ATVs and other vehicles. The other problem is now they are now using Atchison Road to access this and running through up and down the street. So I actually saw a number of officers the other day pulling out, looking for them. 2 minutes later, up they come right up the road. So now it's becoming a transportation issue as challenge as well. Our request of outreach to the landowner for some update, trying to get some status on that. The other part is we have had some conversations with some of those officers and understand that there's a cost involved to doing all this. So one of the strategies could be at some point, if this does not get any better, is to tell the landowners there's a possibility of getting a lien to recoup some of these costs. So we're trying to get an update as to what's going on.
I did reach out to the landowner He did respond to my letter. Unfortunately,
Did or
he,
did not? I'm
he
sorry.
did.
Okay,
Unfortunately, he was recently, he's not all the way home yet. Was in the hospital for quite a while, apparently. So said he would get back to me. I don't expect to hear back from him until next week. If not, we'll try to reach out to him again.
Okay.
But he's aware of it, and, he said that there's nobody has permission to ride on his property. He's not able to send me a letter at this point in time, but we'll get that buttoned up once he's more able to respond properly.
and the other strategies, of course, also are trying to find ways to block off entrances to
Which
access
there's-
for that.
Yeah, and just because of being surrounded by the woodland and all, there's,
I didn't
dozens.
say it was easy, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's good. And the other part was reaching out to the potential developers. I know I have sent a notice to them. I don't know if you had a
Yeah,
chance to get the attorneys.
no, I asked for an update. I just got back from vacation. I haven't heard from them yet, but
They didn't call you over vacation?
no, they did not.
So, all right, well, we appreciate, we're gonna just keep bringing the issue up.
Got
as
it.
long
Thank
as
you,
we
Bill.
get something.
Thank you, Anastasia.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to be heard? Yes, sir. Good evening.
Chris Thomas, Woodgate Drive. Kind of changed my approach after seeing these fine men and women. I want to thank you. Last month, I spoke about what is great about Shamong, and behind me is what it is. Half of these guys here, I spent in their garages when I was a kid, getting pulled out of Murphy's Pit, stuck on my four-wheeler, getting in trouble, and Mr. Miller trying to talk me off the ledge with his son. So I thank them for keeping this town what it is. And I want to thank the mayor and town council for at least hearing us. As of tonight, the situation over on Woodgate Drive is worse. We now have 15 residents that have banded together. And as of this week, we now have people chasing people down the street, threatening altercations. That is not what I picture. I don't have an answer. I don't have a solution. The mayor made a comment a little while ago about being big on land rights and personal rights and property rights. I commend you for that. And I am wholeheartedly behind that. Again, that's why I've lived here my whole life. The ability to deer hunt on your property and ride your bike and do things without risking the common courtesy of your neighbor is what India Mills is all about. But what I've witnessed this week is not India Mills again. And it's not even just one residence now. Now it's starting to turn into a mob situation. I don't have an answer, but I just want you to be aware that things are changing rapidly on Woodgate Drive. And it's not for the better. But I thank you for the visit. I thank you for checking in. I thank you for conversations with the state police. More importantly than anything, I thank you for the men and women here behind me that are there when we do have a problem and they show up. They show up as every single time. And so thank you. And just be aware that situations are changing on Woodgate Drive. And I wish it was for the better.
Chris, I'll just say,
Yeah.
just dial 911. They're aware of what's going on and
Yes, sir.
we're waiting for them to take some action. So, I mean, I've been out there a couple times, as you know,
Yes, sir.
and stopped by and met your daughter. And
Yes, sir.
so
We appreciate that.
that's, but I don't know what else we can do other than they get caught in the act. So if people have Ring cameras or telephone cameras, that evidence would be very helpful.
Yes, sir. Appreciate
Okay, and I
that.
understand that there are a lot of cars coming and going, so that could be an indication.
We have a lot of, as you put it, evidence, but we were informed that unless they obtain it on themselves, it's useless. And I'll be very honest, your statement was very encouraging in the very beginning this evening. I'm not interested, nor are almost all of the 15 residents that I personally met with over the past 2 weeks in being a tattletaling type of neighborhood. We take video because we protect our properties, but not take video to hand over to the authorities unless our property has been damaged. The peacefulness of this town ebbs and flows with the people of the town. And in my 48 years here, I've only experienced peace. I'm not experiencing that at the moment. So we have what you're mentioning, but I'm not convinced that that is the solution, just on what I've been informed with, but you, sir, would know better, and I'd be happy to offline speak with you about that.
Yes, sir.
But I do appreciate all of your efforts very much. It is not unnoticed by not just myself and the other neighbors that were here last month, but now it's a growing number. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Anybody else have anything they want to say? Hi, good evening. I didn't mention the circle, but that's on our minds as well.
I just want to say thank you for whatever or however it happened, putting the blinky light with a stop sign. I was so excited. I know it sounds silly, but I was so excited that somebody heard me. And I think it's important to say thank you. So
You're welcome.
really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Thank you very much. We were very pleased. We had suggested that years
Long
ago.
ago.
We said we would pay for it ourselves.
I would have paid for it too.
Yeah, so hopefully something's gonna come out where there's a realization that we don't
Right.
need
It's
it.
not. And
Roundabout.
then what's needed and what's not. I was hoping for a four-way stop with the blinky light, just like the next corner, but this is good enough, and I'm
Yes.
grateful.
Well, thank
I
you
don't
very
wanna be
much.
known as complaining.
Yeah, you're not complaining. You're a legitimate gripe, so we appreciate you coming out. Thank you. Anybody else have anything they'd like to say? Once, twice, there we go. You just made it. Hi, good evening.
Patty Nicolescu, 543 Oakshade Road. I moved here last year for a lot of the same reasons, you know, we want peace. But the biggest reason was to be able to move my farm here. I don't know if you recall, it was quite a bit of a process. It was difficult with wetlands, but we did everything by the book. And I promised myself that I would always stick up for any other neighbors that had the same issue. So I'm here tonight for 529 Oakshade Road. Jose and Josie introduced themselves at the last meeting. You know, they moved here for a lot of the same reasons I did, and a lot of the same reasons folks on Oakshade Road live here. They like to have their farm animals, and they're working on that process. Zoning made it difficult for me, so I understand what they're going through, and I hate to see them going through it. In particular, last month they were here regarding a rooster issue, and I understand that the committee did confirm that there is no ordinance prohibiting roosters. So they went ahead and brought their rooster. I understand there have been some complaints, and I can understand that, but at the end of the day, there's no rule saying they can't have a rooster. So it was upsetting to hear that they received a letter from the township saying, hey, could you please remove your rooster? Or consider it, rather, to keep the peace.
Can I just interject?
Sure.
I wrote that letter. It did not say remove your, it asked if
It's a
you could possibly
suggestion.
move it. No, it never said remove it. It said, could you move it away from the property line, from the neighboring property line and closer to your house?
But do
That's,
they have to?
it was a kind request is what it was.
Right, so.
And
besides
that's all it was,
that,
but this is how rumors get made. I never,
I'm not making any rumors.
no, I'm not saying it, but
here to
whisper
say
down the
that.
lane. Now by the time it makes it to you, I've asked somebody to remove, and I did not do that.
Okay, I guess the wording could be misconstrued as intimidating to new people. That were already told that they could have the rooster, you know, it was maybe confusing. Why are they now being told to move it? There's no ordinance that says they have to. So it's upsetting, and to keep the peace, like you requested at the end of the letter, they did remove that rooster. And I don't think that's fair because they want to have their
Yeah,
rooster here.
all I suggested was to move it back away from the property line.
I
That's all.
understand.
So
I
it's up to
understand.
them what they want
So
to
they
do.
can go ahead and bring the rooster back.
I told them in the letter, all I'd asked is for them to
Okay.
be considerate of the neighbor and consider moving it closer to their home. That's
Okay.
all I said.
I'm just here to advocate for people to
And
have
I've
that
spoken
right.
to him multiple times about what he can have on that property. And I've told him every time, the only issues ever will be noise and odors,
Okay,
and made him aware that when he first started looking at that property.
but everybody on that.
And I also
road-
told him about the concerns about wetlands and that we do not govern that, that it's the that he needs to go and appeal that with the Pinelands, as you're familiar.
I am very
We
familiar.
don't get to do that. We don't get to change the Pinelands.
But neither you nor zoning were really helpful in my process, if I'm being honest. I had to be educated and do it all myself. And I thought that officials that are here for the people are here to help them and to help them enjoy their properties with their rights as well. So it's just concerning to see that it's a recurring issue for all the same reasons. You know, why doesn't the township stick up for those people and tell those that are complaining, well, hey, there's no ordinance. So There's
Well,
nothing we
I
can really
know that
do.
I've met with Jose and his daughter multiple times. And each time we've looked at his survey and each time we've talked about where he could put things. And I've worked with him just like I've worked with many other applicants or potential applicants.
I'm not speaking about that issue there
And-
because I don't have those details. I did, guide them and tell them what I did for my process. I'm
Right.
speaking specifically about the confusion that it just seems unfair. They came to the meeting, introduced themselves, they were told they could have the rooster. Then a couple weeks later, they received a letter about that very same issue. And it's just, instead of supporting people and allowing them to enjoy their properties and have the animals that they're permitted to per the ordinance, I'm just confused why this is a recurring issue. We can't move to Marlton and have our farm, but other people that don't want to be around farms can go ahead and move somewhere else. We move here for that reason, and we hope, and from my understanding from attending meetings since last year to present, the majority of the committee is in support of farming. So it's just confusing to me why, new folks that move in, hardworking family, they get something like that, and it's very unwelcoming. And I know exactly how that feels. Trust me, I went through it last year. The majority of people were very welcoming after they heard what I had to say and about my operations.
And when I met with Jose and his daughter, like I said, multiple times, we talked about the shape of their property, about the potential wetlands
It's
that,
tough.
and,
They
and
have
I,
that stream
and
right
I
there.
also
I get
told him
it.
about what he could do to avoid having to do variances. So I addressed him just like I have dozens of other parties in this town. So I'm sorry if he's misunderstood that, and I'm sorry if you've misunderstood the letter,
I
but
didn't misunderstand. I just think something's just not right about it. And I just felt like I needed to say something.
Okay.
And I
Appreciate your comments.
appreciate your explanation though. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
Paul.
you as well. I did see the letter that Sue sent. And it was more of, can you be considerate of your neighbor? And if you can, move the rooster to an area where it's not close to the property, but that's upsetting the people. And I think that that's Sue's job, is to try and get people to be able to get along. And I
Find
read the
middle
letter.
ground.
It was not her intention to intimidate Jose, just to say, can you do something to try and keep, as we get closer with neighbors and we get older, I think we're getting a little cranky. So we're trying to figure out, speaking of cranky.
Big Frank Bus coming up top.
Good evening. How are you, Doctor?
Ernie Lazos, Bridget Lazos,
Hi.
Hi.
6 Kingswood Road. So we weren't gonna say anything until Mr. Nicolosi stepped up and basically started speaking.
On behalf of our new neighbors who were directly behind us,
So I spoke to Jose. I spoke to Jose on the phone. And she's absolutely incorrect. He does not want to disturb anybody. And there is a big disturbance.
You say he does not want to disturb?
He does
anyone?
not want to disturb anybody. He wants to be a good neighbor, and he took
That was the
the,
impression I got when he was here
and
last
he
month.
took the rooster away on his behalf. He wasn't coerced into taking the rooster away. My conversations with him were very, very good. He wants to bring in animals, bring in whatever animals you want. We have no problem with animals. We love animals. Some of our own. Not farm animals, because we're residential. And unfortunately, our residential community borders the farming community. And strictly line, farms, residential. So we're right there. So you want to do your farming, you do your farming. First of all, that property has multiple issues when it comes to wetlands. And from what I understand, even before he bought it, he had several meetings with that Tucson on what he wanted to do. And that Tucson told him that there were a lot of restrictions on that. So now he buys the property on second hand, and now he wants to go through those restrictions. I mean, how is that fair? Wasn't that property already deemed to be mostly wetlands? In fact, Sean Miller, who owned the property before him, who happened to be a very good friend of ours, told us that they purchased or they took over that other piece of property because it's undeveloped. You can't put anything on there because it's all wetlands with a lake right there and a big stream right behind our yards in between us. So his rooster that he put down and all the structures that he put on, they're basically right on wetlands. They're right in the middle of wetlands. When I came in to put my pool in, I wanted to put the pool in, my property was also restricted by wetlands. What I needed to do was I needed to move my pool on the side of my yard, basically facing right onto Kingswood Road. So if you're looking down my driveway, you can see my pool. I would have preferred to have it behind my home, but I couldn't do it there because that was wetlands, right? So I followed the rules that I had to follow. Why does everybody else get this opportunity not to follow the rules? This isn't about farming. This isn't about right to farm. This isn't about animals. This is about restrictions that are there, that have been there for I don't know how long. And when you purchase a property, you look at those things before you purchase it. And then you figure out, I can't do this here, so why purchase it? Right? Go somewhere else. Just like we're told now, we'll go somewhere else. Go to Marlton, go back to Medford. I'll gladly go back to Medford if this shit continues, excuse my French. You know, but I love it here. This is a lot more, we love you guys.
Love you
We
guys.
became friends. My brother lived here
Good luck,
for
Rose.
50 years,
Ridiculous.
right? It's not like we just moved in as new neighbors. My family name has been here for almost 50 years. I mean, he did a lot for this township also. So that's why we came here. Because the exact same thing. And your first comment, when you started out, you want, to have whatever you want with your property, but you have to be in good conscience of what's going on behind you. Now, Jose can do whatever he wants, and I told him, do whatever you want. We really don't care. Just be cognizant of what's going on with us. All right, 5 o'clock in the morning, I do not want to be woken up by a rooster, and I really do not want to be woken up by a rooster at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm retired. I don't have to get up at 5 in the morning now. You know, I want to get up whenever my body clock allows me to wake up. So after that, if I go outside and I want to relax in my pool and listen to a little bit of jazz and smoke a cigar and have a cocktail, I don't want to be listening to the rooster all day. Now, he specifically said he leaves at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and he works 7 days a week, basically 24/7. So he doesn't hear. I said, well, you don't, but I do. Other than Victor Bland, who's right behind him and next to me, everybody else on that block is retired. Larry Tucker's retired. Mark Bianchi's retired. What's the other people in the corner there? Sioka's retired. Right next door to us, Denise and Bob, they're retired. We are all, well, she works out of the house, but Bob's retired. We are all retired. So we want to enjoy our retirement. We personally do not want to hear a rooster every day. And it's not just Patty's roosters, which we do here in the background. But it's far away because she's on a farm. She's actually on a farm. She is allowed to farm. She has the amount of acres that she's allowed to farm on. The amount of acres that are on Jose's property is not farmland. It's more residential.
He is right in the corner of
So
our property line.
where does our rights come in as residents of this township? Who are you going to protect? Are you going to have a battle between farms and residents now? I mean, that's not right.
And we pay high taxes.
And
We are the
exactly.
highest paid taxes in Shadow Lake.
You
And
know,
if they wanna welcome and pay the same amount of taxes that I pay, hey, okay. But if they're gonna disturb my right to have peace and quiet and sleep, I do have rights. And I will.
Well, I'm
retain
pleased to hear that you spoke to Jose and he moved the rooster, and I can understand because
he did. And
I'm a light sleeper and I don't like hearing a rooster at 5 in the morning.
I don't know what she's doing here, saying what she just said, because I spoke to him on the phone and he's like,
sweetheart.
and his daughter was the same. She was like, we don't want to hurt anybody. We don't want.
Yeah, I
we're
mean,
not
I
to the
think
area."
Patty was just, she had heard what she believed the letter said, and I did see the letter, and it was, can you move it so that it's,
Maybe she should get a little bit more information as a personal contact between my phone call and his phone call,
Yeah.
So if he's willing to do what he's willing to do, I told him, you want chickens, you have chickens, you want ducks, you want goats, you're rich, you do.
Done.
I
But a
got you.
rooster, come on, right in our backyard, and I'm not the only one. I mean, Mark is very upset. And, he said we would go and see what's going on. Mark is extremely upset because the person behind him also had roosters and he eventually stopped that. Now, she may bring them back in.
I got you. All right, so for the time being, the issue is cured.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
I'm good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your comments. You're welcome. Anybody else want anything to say? You a rebuttal?
That's not. Every property is different, so I don't know the specifics, like you were trying to get into the specifics. I don't know them and I'm not gonna comment on them. I do see that their property probably has a lot more restrictions than mine. I totally understand that. But I also know that I too was told my entire property was wetlands when I bought it. I knew better because it's also my field of work. I knew that there were ways that I could get approvals by contacting Pinelands, seeing what the actual buffer zone was. You know, the township says it has to be 300 feet from the wetlands. Pinelands Commission granted me 150 feet based off of the way the land was developed. I would be curious to see if they have the same buffer zone reduction that was approved in 1988, I believe it was. So I did tell them, go ahead and look into that. Maybe you could just move your structure into a more appropriate area that meets the buffer zone requirements. You know, there's ways, but you have to do the research and you have to do the wetland surveys and everything I did. My point was that I was told it wasn't possible, judging, you know, just by looking at a quick map. Those maps are wrong. And if you're able to prove those maps are outdated by having a wetlands delineation, it is possible to use that land, but you have to do it. Like you said, you have to do the process. So that's all I wanted to clarify. I don't know their specifics. I don't know if they're permitted to have that structure where they have it. I'm just commenting on the fact that they are permitted to have animals as the ordinance stands if it's not within a wetland zone, but you have to prove it, right? So I understand what everybody's saying. I understand both sides and I respect both sides. That's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Anybody else would like to be heard? Yes, just state your name and your address.
Heather McGarvey, 4 Sandstone Court, and I'm a member of the Joint Land Use Board. So I just want to have a question. Can somebody point out the ordinance about animal noises and smells? I was unaware of those.
We follow the county board of health. So that would actually, the township wouldn't pursue that. It would be kicked over to the county and the county comes out. But habitual noises and the smells especially, you know, anybody who has animals, people come in our office on a regular basis wanting to have a horse on a 1 acre lot. They don't have a 1 acre for a horse. They don't, because not unless you put the horse in your front yard. Typically people don't. And it just the manure removal and that kind of.
What is the county?
It's the county
for-
board of health statute. They actually handle it. They have case managers come over and.
We have them come out here to Shamong regularly or?
Not regularly, but when the case calls for it, we do.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what about other smells?
Well,
Did they come out for that? Like, you know,
manure
I
of
live right
animals
by
is-
Woodgate, we have the smell of metal grinding and leaking, leaking diesel fuel and.
Well, if there's, you can contact them for that as well, I believe, because of the, either that or DEP for the fuel.
I mean, I know they've reached out to the township numerous times on this, and so if you reach out and complain about animals, then the county will be notified, but if you complain about actual things that are detrimental to
No,
the
we have
ground.
worked with people before now. Have them give me a call tomorrow and I'll see what we can do about getting, now DEP is a different animal to get out here, obviously, but the Board of Health is usually pretty responsive.
Yeah, maybe that's a way we can help them on Woodgate too.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd be willing to reach out to DP if there's a concern like that. If
There's leaking hydraulic fluid, there's leaking motor oil into the street. I mean,
if you could document it and send it to me, I can. Okay, I haven't gotten any of that, so
Yeah,
just.
and Brian, just similar to that, there is a reporting website they can actually go to and report
Yeah.
that directly to DEP. So if you do have something, report it directly to the website.
Yeah,
or-
that's actually probably the best way.
Good evening.
Tim McGarvey, 4 Sandstone Court. Chris has contacted DEP 3 times. They haven't sent anyone. They're worried about closing our Warden State Forest roads, but when there's an actual hazard, I don't even think, Chris, have they even acknowledged you? Yeah, the hydraulic fluid that is actually, it's almost like an easement, correct? That runs to the back parking lot of Shawnee Baptist Church. And that easement runs through, it's runs through from the back of the houses on Ironwood and feeds out to Woodgate. And there actually is a drain there too. And he has an old front end loader that's been sitting there for about 3 years, unused. And you walk by and you could smell it. It's no good.
Well, that should be something the DEP should be interested in. I would.
Well, because we went through the motions
No, if you've.
of
reached
trying to
out
contact
if
them
you
and
reach
they,
out to them and haven't heard anything, please, if you could send me any documentation of that you have, or of reaching out to them, I would be more than willing to follow up with.
Okay.
I do have some.
We'll catch
contacts
up with
in
you,
DEP.
Brian.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Tim. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Hi, good evening. That's cool.
My name is Josie. We're from 529 Oak Shade Road.
You were in with your dad last
yes.
month. Yes. Welcome
So
back.
particularly in for the rooster situation, and out of respect, the first time we got a call, we did remove them. We took him back to our farm in Red Lion. We came to the township meeting and we were told that we can have our roosters, so we brought them back. And then we received another call and a voice message that I have on my phone about removing them. If not, it was going to be a problem and they would have to handle it their way. So now took the roosters back out of respect because that's how we are. And I do have the voice message. Yep, I have it. Okay, great. I would love to play it, but I don't want to waste anyone's time here. We then took the roosters out of our property out of respect again. And not even a week later, we received a letter telling us to please move our chicken coop more towards the front of our house. To me, what difference is that going to make? It's an honest question, if anyone can answer me. They're roosters, they're loud. Also, can we have roosters, yes or no?
You are allowed roosters in Shamong.
Okay, perfect.
What you've done is
Yes.
what you did is commendable because you're respectful of your neighbors.
Yes.
So there are, as you may have heard, a lot of retired people and the roosters go off at 5 a.m. and it's a little bit difficult.
Yeah, but Shamong is a town that, animals are like our family. To me, roosters are our family. We're in the process of also bringing our 6 animals. I'm sure that'll be a problem as well when we get there. But this is kind of just putting our foot down that we are going to bring back the roosters because this is the second time where I'm getting the okay from you guys. We're doing this out of respect. They're not even in our property right now. You guys are giving us the okay. We've done everything we could. We're in the process of bringing our other 6 animals, and it's just kind of putting my foot down. I don't know what else to do. I think we've been more respectful. I mean, my family has came such a long way. It hasn't even been a year of us moving to Shamong, and this is the first problem. Also, in the letter, it says several complaints. We have not received a single complaint in our street at all. It's the people from the back, and it's only them. So again, on the letter, it's kind of a lie saying that we've gotten several complaints when we haven't. It's only been one family. So I just wanted to point that out there. We are going to bring them back, and we are going to bring our other animals soon, hopefully. And that's all I wanted to say. Just wanted to make things clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
It's not just one family, it's the families that I just spoke about. Other than Victor that's not retired, and Victor doesn't like it either. It's all the families on Kingswood Road. So we have rights also. Now, we bring the roosters back, bring them back. If I'm not mistaken, there is a law in the state of New Jersey, anything above 65 decibels is considered a nuisance. Correct?
I don't
So
know the
if
number, but there
It's
is a nuisance
65,
statute.
it's 65 decibels, which is basically what I'm speaking at right now, maybe a little higher. So the roosters are significantly higher. If the rooster goes off every day at 65 decibels, beyond 65 decibels, that creates an issue. I don't want to be non-neighborly also. We try to be nice also, And if that does help, that would be great. If it doesn't, it's a problem. We have rights just as much as they have rights for me to lounge in my swimming pool or to be able to sleep beyond 5 o'clock in the morning.
Understood.
I
think you're clear.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna make myself extremely clear.
Okay, anybody else have anything to say? If this keeps up, we're going to cancel the meeting. Welcome.
Hi, Tracy Burleson, 531 Oak Shade Road. I
Hi,
sent an
Tracy.
email. I don't think I need to reiterate all of that. But the bottom line is my husband and I moved to Shamong, specifically Oak Shade Road, well aware of all the farms. We have 3 kids. They love the farms. My kids are now, I have 2-year-old twins who are going outside saying, where's the roosters? That's what they're listening for. We are in full support of Josie having roosters next door. I live directly next door. So again, I mean, this is what brought us to this town. We love it. We love listening to Patty's roosters. We love the horses across. Mr. Wilkinson, I know you have animals. We like seeing that on the street. So Oakshade is a really farm-friendly place, and I just feel like Josie should be able to have these animals without the opposition. And just want to make it clear that I am in full support, as is my neighbor directly next door and across the street. So thank you.
All right, thank you very much for coming. Anybody else? We're gonna have a rule that you can only speak one time.
Actually, under
Say
the
your name for the
noise
record.
Heather McGarvey, under the noise ordinance in Title VII of New Jersey state law, if you look it up, agricultural activities and animals are excluded from the decibel levels.
Thank you for that. Okay, anybody else have anything to say? Decibel levels. So in other words, animals that are making noise are not included. Well, let me just say this, thank you all. I appreciate that this is a hot issue. And if you're getting woken up from your sleep, it's a big deal. So we'll see if we can figure out something where we can make it better. Ladies and gentlemen, the firefighters, you do not need to stay the whole meeting. So I just wanted to acknowledge you all and thank you for what you do for our community, and to have the opportunity to hear from our residents that how much we appreciate you. So we won't be miffed at all if you decide that you want to go to the bar. All right, thank you. All right, can we get started? We can get a new issue too. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, Chris. We'll see if we can get on top of it for you. Okay, now we're going to start with by the way, the public comment is closed. We're going to go right to items for discussion and possible official action. First is approval of the July 9th, 2024 regular meeting minutes. Everybody had an opportunity to take a look at that? And if so, can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Mr. Zender,
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson.
Yes.
Mr. Woods,
Yes.
Ms. Mazitis,
Yes.
and Mr. Croce.
Yes. Did you say Mr. Mazitis?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mazai.
Next on the list is the announcement that Gary Welsh is going to retire on December 31st, 2024. He's been with us a long time.
Yes.
Marty, you
been
looking
with
for a
us-
job?
He's been with us since December of 1990. He's had 34 years of service when he retires. And upon his retirement, we'll be looking to shift things around. Stephen Mitchell, who has been working with us for about 8 years now, has his supervisor certificate, so he can take over the supervisor role, and we'll have an open position to hire for equipment operator that must have a Class A CDL with tanker endorsement, which we look to start advertising that in September, and hope to get that.
I think
position
that
filled.
meeting out there might be more exciting than our meeting.
Is that 55 decibels?
I think that is over 65 decibels.
I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay.
Well, Gary's done a commendable job. And
Yes.
he certainly earned the right to retire, but we will miss him.
Absolutely.
Isn't he running for president?
Yes, he is.
Saw the sign on.
I saw that on the way in, but I didn't want to slow down at the traffic circle.
I got the luxury of calling him to tell him I would vote for him. He says, for what? I said, you need to do my commute, and I'm not gonna tell you which way I went home tonight.
That's funny. All right, next is the JIF, which is the Joint Insurance Fund Commissioners Report for July 16th, 2024. Take care of that, counselor. You're a muscle.
All my muscles are between my ears.
There you go.
I don't know, it's outside, so
All right, so-
is that taking care of it?
Yeah, I
thank
think if you got everybody to move,
from
you
the
did all right.
property.
Zero lost time accidents for Shamong once again. We are in the process of cyber risk part 2 of the 2024 training. Back on July the 12th, we had 44% of the staff trained. I believe we have about 6 or 7 outstanding people to be trained at this point in time. That has to be wrapped up by the end of the month. review what we've received so far in funding, and we're due to receive a total of $4,845 between safety incentive funds, safety incentive program, optional safety wellness incentive, and cyber program. And that takes care of a two-hour meeting.
All right, great, thank you. Next is a discussion on the requested changes to the current ordinance language pertaining to cat colonies.
Excuse
under-
me, Mayor, you
Yes.
missed number 4, approval for chief.
Oh, here we go. I'm jumping ahead. Sorry about that.
For the chief
Approval of the chief financial officer to attend a webinar on July 18th at a cost of $95, and also to attend a full-day seminar on July 26th at a cost of $68.
So I'll make this really simple for you. If she had gone to the GFOA conference in Atlantic City, it would have cost between $330, $370 for the day. She went to, did a webinar and went to a full day seminar for $163. So we're asking for approval in arrears, but I thought fiduciary, it was the best move to.
Saved
get
us
that done.
$150. Anybody have any questions or comments? If not, can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Thank you.
second.
Thank you.
Ms. Mazitis?
Yes.
Mr. Woods?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Zender?
Yes.
Mr. DeCroce?
Yes, now a discussion on the requested changes to the current ordinance language pertaining to cat colonies under ordinance 2017-11. Who would like to give us the background on that? Doug, do you want to do that?
So I think you've had more of the conversation, but I understood there was gonna be somebody here tonight for that.
Well, I thought there was gonna be somebody here, but I guess maybe the weather kept them from coming. But we've had some information from a TNR ordinances. Her name is Ann. She's looking to see about the township updating their current TNR, which is tap, neuter, release, tag, neuter, and release. Currently, our ordinance is set up so that there's a cat colony in place and there's a caregiver that reports to the township and oversees the cat colony. And to me, the biggest change was to take that out and say, we'll catch the cat, neuter them, release them, just bring them back and dump them in the area that they found them. So we don't know who, if anybody is caring for these cats at that point in time. So that was my initial response and concern. They do a good job. You're a good organization. I don't know. I know you're just getting back from being away, so I don't know
No,
if you've
I
heard.
looked at it. I don't know that I have a clear, I mean, yes, that was one of the things they're proposing. I guess my thought was we were gonna have somebody here to explain precisely what they want to see. And my other thought would be is if they have particular language that they would want changed or updated, that they offer some,
Share with us.
share that with us. so that we
Okay,
have a
why
sense
don't
of
we,
what's-
unless there's an objection from the dais, why don't we table this thing, and if we hear from them, we'll be happy to listen. Seems to me that if we catch a cat that needs some attention, it should be taken to the shelter and see if it can be adopted there, and they would then neuter it, rather
Yeah.
than taking it back and dumping it
But
back out.
they were making a
These are
case that.
feral, right?
Pretty much what,
Or not?
our ordinance already says.
Okay.
Right.
Are these feral cats? When I hear colony, I mean,
Yeah.
colony
Yes,
is
so
anonymous.
they're feral, but they typically have somebody who's feeding them on a continual
Right.
basis. The whole object is for them not to
Reproduce.
reproduce. So even dropping them back at their original spot is still, saving the reproduction of cats and then creating more feral cats. And I think they're just trying to cut down on the euthanization rate at the animal shelter. Was it Ann who you spoke to?
She was the one who sent in the email that went around through the committee and to Doug, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, she's usually pretty good. So I'm surprised she's not here, but
Yeah, but like I said, maybe the weather, maybe.
yeah, no, if
North
you
of
want
us-
to wait
north
for
of us
her
is
to
getting weather.
recontact you, that's perfectly fine. If you want me to talk to her,
I'll
I've
reach
done
out.
work with her. Yeah,
Okay.
so
Yeah, I can reach out to her and see.
either way, she's usually, pretty on top of things and a very sensible person. So
Okay, all right, so no one has an objection to putting this on.
I'm an experienced,
Cat colony lady?
Cat colony lady at our office, and in 1 year, I trapped 7 adults and 23 kittens. And the 23 kittens got homes, 4 of which went to my home. The very first one just turned 19 and died in July. Of the 7 adults, they've all passed away. The oldest one lasted for 16 years, and no new cats entered the colony because they were all spayed and neutered. They wouldn't allow anybody new in, and they didn't reproduce. And, that was over a course of 16 years. They didn't, no new kittens came around. And at the same time, where the office is, catty corner, there was a cat lady, the old house next to Pineview Farms. And I remember, Charlie Gardner had a spay and neuter. They did 60 cats in his barn.
Wow.
Yeah, and it works. I mean, over the past couple of years, we've had cats that have shown up that have the tipped ears, so they were TNR'd. And, you know, people are dumping them off because we have farms all around us. They're dumping them back in the Wharton track. But we also have residents that own cats. I have photographs from yesterday. Cat has a collar on and he's completely intact, and he walked into my father's home. And, you know, this is a cat that's owned by someone, but because it's a male cat, they don't think they need to neuter them, you know, and that creates a problem as well. So I think we need more education, you know, and if this program, from what I had read, it was if people called up and said, you know, we have this colony, for us to direct them to, I think it was Friends of Burlington County Animal Shelter, and they would help trap them, get them spayed and neutered if they were healthy enough. If they weren't healthy enough, euthanization. If they're healthy enough, return them to where they were trapped. And, you know, whoever's calling about them, wanting them to be sterilized, would be feeding them and taking care of them, you know.
Okay.
So.
All right, any questions or comments? All right, that was our Cat 101. Thank you. For that. We're gonna table that, and if Ann comes in, we'll be happy to hear her. Next on the list is a report on the projected healthcare cost, I assume, increase in 2025.
Yes, so in 2002, the increase is 4%. 2023, it was 22%. Slight difference. 2024, 7.5%, so better, not great. They're projecting a 17.2% increase for 2025. What we did last year is we went out on the health and to a broker to see if we could get a better rate. And at that point in time, the size and age of our employee population, they said you're better off staying where you're at, basically. So we're trying to do that again with a different organization this year through the HIF, which is like a joint insurance fund. And the initial meeting with me was that the HIF probably can't help you, but maybe I can. We have to contact, we may have to contact the state again for a report that they generate showing what the exposure is for our group, and including our retirees that are still on benefits. And she told me that the state of New Jersey generates that report once every other year. If you want it in the middle year, they might charge you $2,000. Now, we might save, you know, more than that every month, but just letting you know, that's where it's in the process. I've had, you know, initial conversations with this woman on the phone. She came to the office. We've exchanged data on the population. So I'm working towards to see if there's another option other than another big increase next year.
Okay, thank you for your efforts there. Next is a report on the Willow Grove and Stokes Road roundabout to be installed by Burlington County.
And again, I've been back and forth with them on this to see what the update is. We did receive now notification that they're going to come out and do some surveying work, which they did that about a week and a half ago, and they are working on a final design. They don't expect that to be complete until sometime next year, and their hope is that construction could start somewhere between the fall of 25 and early 26. That's what they're saying. So
I also want to be aware, Sue did reach out for the commissioner and those people that were doing the work there, requesting a meeting and asking them to be present tonight so that we can actually question them. And the response was?
They will come back and meet with the township committee sometime between September and October, but not in a public meeting just yet. They don't have all the information. So.
Okay.
So it isn't a permanent, they're not gonna even take the opportunity to see if this makes any kind of difference. They're still stuck on the circle.
Well, I would say the answer is yes. That's what their plan is, to put the circle in, and they're moving forward with it. I don't know whether this is off the top of my head, but if we can use the property here on our property, I would be agreeable to doing that. We have a septic, I think, we'd have to move it.
And that was the initial discussion I had with them, is try to keep it more on our property than the private properties. But
right. So we'll
I'm not an
be
engineer.
happy to consider that. I don't want the circle, all right? That's the first thing. If you didn't know, I think everybody knows that. But if we can move it more on our property, if it makes sense, I don't know how the heck you do that and yeah.
I'm gonna write to the congressman or something. I just can't accept this. I just think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it's a waste of money, time and energy and
That need financial help.
right, I agree. So it's coming from a different bucket of money. It's coming from the feds. And so, but we all know that we're paying the taxes for that, right? So, but, that's where things stand. So we tried to get them to come in this evening to have a discussion. But at least that's the timeline and the way the government works. It's 25, 26, it looks like. So there's enough time for us to gather a plan together, I think. All right, next is a review of the $66,000 grant award for Dingletown Recreation Complex walking path and options to complete the walking path renovation.
I've had a conversation with the mayor and the committee's received a confidential document on this evening regarding the potential costs to complete the whole walking path, which was the initial goal. And the reason it's confidential is because of bid law. We put the number out there, what's the total estimate? People say, oh, well, that's what it's gonna cost to put it in. Knowing that, is it possible to put together, we've done it in like phased bids so that we have different options trying to finish this. And in so doing, if it, exceeds the 66,000, what I'm proposing to the committee is the option of using some of the open space funds to actually finish this walkway. And in speaking with our engineer and Mayor Mike, the reason for that is it might be a small project when they get done with what they can do for the grant. And now to mobilize all the equipment to get back out there to do, a relatively small section of that walking path might actually cost us a lot more to bring them back out than if we were to spend some of the open space and recreation fund money to do it and have it completed initially all at once.
Okay.
So unfortunately, we don't know what the out-of-pocket will be at this time. It'll depend on the bid process and what the outcomes of those, but at least to direct the engineer's office to give us a few phases that they can bid and we can choose at the end what actually gets done. We've done this in some road projects as well to make sure we use up more of the grant funds out there.
Well, can we have a bid on it and then have that held as an alternate so we can pre-approve for additional funds from the open space, but then pull the trigger at a later date? If
Well,
we
that's what
decide
it-
it's
it
too
would
much.
be alternates, and then we could decide when the bids come in, we would decide at that point in time.
So if we go this route, we're not bound to actually
No.
execute. We still have another
You
chance to
still-
look at it.
yes, Yes, you do.
So my personal opinion is I 100% agree about the mobilization costs. I think we should go the route of having an alternate bid to finish that path. Unless other members of the committee feel differently, and we still have the ability to pull the plug if we feel it's too much money.
It's a good idea.
Okay.
Okay. Next is the Chief Financial Officer's report on Bond Anticipation Notes Series 2023.
So with that, we received 4 bids to take over our bond for this current year. Township of Brunswick was the winning bid at 4.16%. Piper Sandler came in with a quote of 4.48%. Oppenheimer and Company came in at 4.623%, and Pennsville National Bank came in at 4.7%. So this is for us to finance the $995,000 balance that we have on all of our bonds outstanding for this this coming year. But wanted to make you aware of that. We approved that process last month through the bid process, and it's a timely process between advertisements and getting signed documents. So everything was signed this morning, and that's the final report on it.
So all of a sudden, 4.16 doesn't sound so high, right? So it's
Yeah.
it's not bad. Okay, next is the 24-25 tax rate and tax bills. We touched on that earlier.
Yes, so our 2024 tax rate in total is going up to 3.202 cents. What's that means? The average assessed value home, which is $310,642. That means their 2024 taxes is going to be $9,947, which is a $690 increase from last year, which represents 7.33%. The breakdown of that goes primarily to the county, and Lenape Regional was a hefty increase as well. And our local schools, again, as the mayor said, the township's increase was on the average house was $12 for the year.
All right, next is the Tabernacle Rescue Squad first and second quarter report.
But you have them in your meeting packets and you receive them in an email as well. It pretty much tells us what we know. They're still having a hard time with staffing and getting enough people out to meet the call. Occasionally, that means that you will be seen by a Medford ambulance or somewhere else out of town. Unfortunately, they have was a 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. They have a paid staff, so during that time, it's pretty good. But that's one ambulance out. So the minute there's an accident or a call, if you make the call during that time, now there's it's going to be coming through shared service through another town, and they'll be covering for them. But remind you about the fundraisers for both the fire department and for Tabernacle Rescue, who serves our community now. They are all volunteers and are always looking for assistance with their funding.
And we did have a meeting with them to address some concerns of some of the residents who indicated that the response time was a little longer than they expected. In one case, it was 20 minutes. So they're coming from Tabernacle up by Nixon's and the Village Pub. And so you'll get a call on your beeper, Bill. You got to get from your house up to the ambulance, then drive out to where, the call is. So we've all become a little bit accustomed to getting something right away, with email and things like that. So, but the reality is that those men and women that are volunteers are trying to help us have to get to the station, and they have to wait. There have to be 2 people there. So they have to wait for somebody else and then come down and help us. So that's just the reality of what we have, and we're living in a rural area. All right, next is an approval of a 3-year postage meter at $33.99 per month for the term of the lease.
And as it's a lease, it needs to come to the Township Committee for approval. We have contacted Quadient out of Milford, Connecticut, which had the winning quote. We had been with Pitney Bowes, which was a state contractor. They came in, they had been at $36.17 a month. That lease ends, and their increase was going to $73.84 a month, which is why we started looking around. And then Joanne also contacted Data Pack out of Webster, New York, and they came in at $75 a month. So the Quadient, which is she took a different approach to this. She actually contacted the post office and asked for some recommendations, and that's where she got this name. And comes in actually less than what we have been paying. So for a very similar piece of equipment, but I do need your approval so we can sign the documentation on that and move that forward.
Thank you. Can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
You?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Zender?
Yes.
Mr. Woods?
Yes.
Ms. Mazitis?
Yes.
Mr. Croce?
Yes. All right, now into something fun, which is a resolution 2024 R-67, which authorizes the issuance of a limited brewery off-premise event permit to permit a beer garden at the Valenzano Winery Wine Fest 2024.
And this will be held on September 21st and 22nd from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. There is a application for this permit filed on behalf of Community Care Food and Clothing Pantry, who will receive the benefits of this event. And we can verify that they have not had more than 25 special events permits at this premises during the calendar year. But we do need the Township Committee to approval to go ahead and sign off and accept that permit for the off-premises
Any
license.
questions or comments? If not, could we have a motion, please?
I'll second her.
Thank you both.
Ms. Mazitis?
Yes.
Mr. Woods?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Zender?
Yes.
Mr. DeCroce?
Yes, next we have the resolutions. Can they be done in all in one packet as far
And if you
as?
want to
Yep.
read through them, or do you want me?
I'll read through them. 2024 R-68, which is a resolution authorizing the change order number 2 to Arawak Paving Company related to the Atzion Road Phase 1 project. 2024 R-69, which is a resolution authorizing a change order number 2 to Arawak Paving Company related to the Atzion Road Phase 2 project. 2024 R-70, which is a resolution authorizing the change order number 2 to Paving Plus LLC related to the Grassy Lake Road Phase 4 project. 2024 R-71 is a resolution authorizing a change order number 1 to Arawak Paving Company relating to the 2023 road and drainage improvement project. Any questions or comments on any of those? If not, can we have a motion for all of them?
I have a couple of comments on these. So on the change order, I was reading through this. It's kind of a little confusing to me. And then hoping you can give me some more details on this. So
specifically on change order 2 for $52,000, I believe it was.
This is on resolution 69.
59.
Okay.
2020, this, I have questions on all of them, but this is gonna summarize basically the questions. That's really not, it's not that Arawak in their letter said that, I want to quote them. Final construction quantities for milling and asphalt work are difficult to predict prior to construction. They're not saying in that they didn't know what they were getting into, right? They're saying that
Well,
in general, they did
they-
more work than they
they-
were supposed to.
Yes, they
Okay.
did. So they are difficult to predict there's monthly asphalt fuel adjustments where you can have those fluctuations in your pavement prices.
Right.
So that's why they can't exactly say what it is until they're submitting for the payments and,
Okay.
um,
So they're not saying that because they did by my estimates, another 200,000 square feet of paving.
yeah, so what they did was we had good prices for both of these projects. So we came in under the grant values.
Right.
So you have the allowance to go 20% over for a change order.
Right.
And since we had such great prices that were already set in the bid, we asked them to pay beyond those limits, and we end up getting about another 900 feet of roadway out of it.
Okay.
And we're still under our grant thresholds.
Right.
And
So
that was really the goal of it. And what we did was we split it between these
between the two. All right.
two projects.
So when we do the resolutions, all right, we have a initial bid of $197,000. All right, then we have a change order of $52,000. Which, I mean, I can do that math in my head, and that's about 25%. It's actually 27%. But we say it's 21.98%. So how do you take the 52,000 divided by 197 and get 21%?
Yeah, and we were over the 20%.
Right.
There are allowances for that.
Okay.
Like I said, you
But
can't.
where
go
does
over
where does
for
the 21 where does the 21.98 come from?
The 21.98 in. this-
And I'm just looking at
I'm sorry,
resolution 2024-69, because if I do that math, I get 27.9%. And if you do it,
I think there's two ways to look at that.
okay, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Where's it?
Percentage of the final contract versus the percentage of the original contract.
Yeah, I did all that math. It doesn't, none of them come out to
Yeah.
21.98%.
Yeah,
That's
and-
what I'm trying to figure out
and
where
we
that.
are-
I went to law school and now I'm gonna.
Right. And that's
But
what
we are
caught my
seeing that.
attention when I'm reading through it. I'm thinking, all right, well, 200,000 divided by 50, or 50 divided by 200 is 25%,
Yeah.
not 21%.
The key here is that we got grant money, we're taking advantage of good pricing.
Mhm.
And the paperwork that you're seeing in there that's not typical is to quantify and justify the percentage might not be a correct percentage.
Okay.
But the standard is you can go up to 20% over on a change order.
Without having to
any-
go back to
without
us.
Going through these additional
Right.
steps. What we're doing to document those additional steps is what you see in the packet, which is basically. We had good pricing, it's a good situation, this is not something where we're overspending or taking advantage of good pricing. And then because of the difficulty in. Being super precise on a final calculation as you're going through that process, instead of getting right up close to that 20%, it went a little bit over.
Mhm.
Still under the grant amount, but we're.
Right. Right.
Right.
So I guess my question is, why do we even put that percentage in if we can just get away with putting the two numbers in? Do we need to put
So
a
we
percentage
have
down?
to
We
certify
actually have to do it?
get our
Okay.
funds. So that's kind of where that comes in. That's why he has those different percentages in there.
Right.
'Cause if we didn't have this adjustment, we would
It's
have.
because in some of them, and if you look at the paving plus, those percentages all add up, but it's really simple because their change order was just for
There's
signs.
just for the sign.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit different. They
Right.
had the adjustment in
Right.
there, so we weren't.
Yeah, I just want to
And
make,
what
I just want to
the
make
two
clear
phases
that
we
we're
tried
not,
to
we're not trying to
focus.
hide something by saying, all right, we spent this much, we have an overage of this much, and we're saying that's 21%.
No, because we constructed these two phases at the end as one, final paving limit. So that's kind of why they were split like that.
That was my comment.
Well, thank you, Neil. Anybody else have any questions or comments? If not, can we have a motion for,
Resolution 68 through 71.
yes, ma'am.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Zender?
Yes.
Ms. Macias?
Yes.
Mr. Woods?
Yes.
Mr. DeCroce?
Yes, final resolution is 2024 R-72. It's a 2024 salary resolution.
And just as a note, a reference, Jay Renwick, who serves under shared service with Tabernacle, as Tabernacle does not have a finalized budget yet, we'll be doing an adjustment to this later once there's is updated. It's terms of the shared service. They have to agree to what his increase is. So,
Okay.
pending their budget.
Anybody have any questions or comments? If not, can we have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Mr. Woods?
Yes.
Ms. Macias?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Zender?
Yes.
Mr. DeCroce?
Yes, now we move on to ordinances 2024-9, which is an ordinance amending chapter 110, 124, the Township Code of the Township of Shamong relating to low-density recreational uses to clarify amendments made under ordinance 2023-13, implementing certain recommendations of the 2023 master plan reexamination report, which was adopted August 23. Any comments on that, Doug?
Just, again, this comes out of the master plan process. We had done an ordinance that adopted many of the recommendations. Pinelands Commission asked for some clarification as to precisely what we were trying to achieve, and the language that's underlined in this ordinance before you is what was added to make it clear that we're asking for a traffic study and the standards that must be met under that traffic study if somebody were to pursue a farm-based recreational activity under the 2015 amendments.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Do we need to open this up for public comment?
We do.
Any questions or comments from the public? Seeing and hearing none, we'll close this portion to the public comment and ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Mr. Woods?
Yes.
Ms. Macias?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Zender?
Yes.
Mr. DeCroce?
I vote yes. Okay, the next is the most fun of the evening where we get to pay our bills. And this month, the bill list shows $5,565,960.38. See what happens when you get off, Marty?
This is definitely the biggest one I've ever seen in the time I've been here. And if we can do a breakdown of that, Arawak Paving, which did a lot of work for us over this past month, they are getting a payment of $1,240,922.56. Quarterly county payment of $934,905.04. We have a Broco GIF, our premiums, if you will, for our insurance, or two payments. The second payment is $55,278. The Mills Volunteer Fire Company gets some funding from us. They have two quarterly payments going in at $30,000. Lenape Regional High School District Board of Ed get 2 months payments because they didn't have the billing ready for last month. So that's $1,009,123.80. The bond payment, we had to pay off last year's bond and then borrowed it back again. That was $1,251,348,348.48. And then the Shamong Board of Ed, $915,505.58. So to keep the lights on, it's $128,876.92. Everything else goes out of the township.
Okay, thank you so much for the breakdown. We'd like to do that because you need to know where your cash is going. And most of it is going not to us, unfortunately, so.
Yeah,
Anybody?
that's a record.
Yeah, it is a record.
Yeah, I actually called Chris back in my office with different working on my desk.
I'm
It's-
glad
it's
you
can't
took
be
that
right.
extra step.
Anybody have any questions or comments? If not, can we have a motion to pay the bills?
I'll make a motion to pay the bills. Be that what they are.
I'll second it.
Mr. Zender?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Woods?
Yes.
Ms. Macias?
Yes.
Mr. Croce.
Yes, next we'll move on to the reports from our township engineer. Good evening, Anthony. You got anything left for us?
Not too much. Grassy Lake Road, we're coming to a close. We're about to close out the phase 3. Phase 4, we just submitted a change order. We added some speed limit signage and adjustments, and we're just waiting on a couple waivers to close out that one as well. At Town Road, phase 1 and phase 2, we just discussed that. They finished the paving limits. They applied for that last change order, and then that'll be closed out soon after. Not too much other than that, and we discussed the Dingletown rec complex, and we'd be happy to phase it out for you guys, provide alternatives as directed by you guys.
Great. Thank you, Anthony. Next, we're going to move to Township Solicitor. Good evening, Doug. Welcome back from your vacation.
Nothing further for public. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, you're very welcome. Next, we're going to go to the Township Administrator. Sue, anything that we haven't discussed?
Yes, just a few things that we have happening in our town in the coming months. Pine Barrens Olympic Tri-Do Aqua and Sprint Tri is taking place September 7th between 8 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. That's primarily over at the Sign Lake Area and Park. Valenzano Wine Fest, as we discussed earlier. The Indian Mills Volunteer Fire Company will be doing a coin drop on September the 21st between 7 and 5 a.m. Rain date will be the 22nd, and we need to have approval for that. I just realized because they do that at the intersection of Indian Mills and Oakshade. So let's just, if we can
Do
do
a
it.
motion now on that?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay, the motion in favor of the coin drop.
I'll make a motion in favor.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Mazitis,
Yes.
Mr. Woods,
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson,
Yes.
Mr. Zender.
Yes.
Mr. DeCroce.
I vote yes.
Okay.
Anything further, Sue?
Yeah, we do. We have Tour de Pines is being active this fall. Pinelands Adventure Pinelands Adventure Recreational Bicycle Ride taking place on October the 6th. And the Pinelands Sun has provided some free advertisement for the Hometown Hero Banner Program. We are still eagerly waiting for somebody to stop in and give us some information on their family member to start this program out. And the 2023 audit, I was notified this afternoon, will be dropped off at my office tomorrow morning, and that'll be on the September meeting agenda for your consideration. And all the other department reports are attached. If you have any questions on them, please let me know, and I will take care of them.
Thank you, Sue. Next, John Lyons, good evening, OEM. Wow, this is amazing. This is really, really good. Okay. We're going to open the meeting back up to the public comment. Anastasia, you got anything to say? That's what the nun used to yell at me when she saw me talking in the back. So I figured I'd get you back. John?
Yeah, John Lyon, 160. With engineering, if there's any updates on the skin coating for.
You know what, I'll discuss it again with Joe. I wasn't able to talk to him about it since our last meeting, but.
I didn't know if there was time limit on any bond issues for work done under warranty.
I know when we discussed this previously, I think it was over 5 years ago since that was just typically, yeah.
Yeah.
So typically that it is, beyond any repairs for something like that.
That's where I was hoping. Yeah, it was not the case. Yeah, thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Anybody learn anything tonight? Great. I will close the meeting to the public. Open it up to the dais. Anybody up here have any questions or comments or?
I wouldn't mind commenting quickly on the rooster thing with respect. I just want to gather my thoughts, and it's obviously a very hot button issue, and it stinks seeing people at their throats as neighbors. I mean, I respect everybody on either side coming to the meeting. Could be a tense situation. I had a rooster 2 houses down. I loved hearing the noise when I walked my dogs in the morning. I'm an early riser, so it didn't bother me, but I know it bothered other people because I was walking my dogs once and a lady jumped out of her car and came up to me and said, "Are you the guy with the rooster? Do you own the rooster?" And I'm going crazy. I said, "I don't own the rooster, but I'm not going to snitch about who owns the rooster." Seeing your mannerisms are a little wild. So obviously it's something that people have opinions on both sides. But the bottom line is we don't have a rooster ordinance in Shamong, and if we wanted to adopt one, that's something that would have to be spoken about and everyone can talk to their neighbors respectfully and peacefully, and I encourage that. But, without an ordinance, you can't force anybody to do anything. You can't, not that I'm saying there was any bullying, but you can't bully anybody to do anything. And people have those rights to have them their own. I mean, maybe if they talk a little more, there's things they could do to help the noise. I know, if the rooster's making noise in the middle of the night, sometimes it's because of car lights and other lights. Maybe they could build a structure that, gives off a little less lighting. I want to address the letter too. I'm pretty positive after reading the letter that Sue kind of came at it trying to play peacemaker and not trying to intimidate. I know that's always your method from what I've seen. So if that was taken any other way, I just wanted to publicly vouch for Sue and her methods. I hope these neighbors can work it out and, or learn to live with the noise of the rooster, because it's just kind of what we have going on here in Shamong. So
Reminds me of
Go ahead, Neil.
kind of a funny story, and so by accident, we had 4 chickens that we got from where? And there's a
This giant general store, and somewhere in this general store, they had like this little corner that had pets for sale, and they had little chicks, little
Right.
squeaky chicks.
So I got 4 of them. We lived in like suburbia. I mean, it was.
We buy these type of chicks, right?
Yeah.
Thinking nothing of it. He builds this massive coop in the vision of a Japanese pagoda, like it was a work of art.
Look at. Anyway,
Chicks in there. We'll come to find out.
the roosters.
They're roosters.
That's why they were special.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure they were. So we get it. So yeah,
You're not getting
I'm
the
a-
floor back.
I'm at work. Anyway, these things start crowing,
Oh, yeah.
and
They
we moved to the farm, but yeah, they kept everybody up. So and we had neighbors that were like 20 feet away from us at that point. I'm at work.
And it's someone from the township, and they say, so do you have chickens or roosters? And I said,
No.
well, I personally don't, but I will. Needless to say, we
So,
had to get
yeah, we got rid of our chickens,
roosters.
roosters.
There's a reason
Roasted
somebody
roosters.
came up with coca bean as a recipe.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
Bill, what would you prefer? Roosters or ATVs? Yeah, I know. Yeah, I can understand the doctors, I'm a light sleeper and, I mean, then the other side is that roosters protect the chickens
Yeah,
from all
and the
predators,
hens.
predators that we have.
You're just the first.
We have, we have special geese.
So-
If you want to hear something not loud,
Yeah.
roosters are nothing compared to our geese.
Oh,
geese are loud?
Our geese are.
And the
Not
peacocks have a horrible, they sound like a person screaming.
Yeah.
They do.
And there was a home on Burnhouse Road that had peacocks. And the neighbor across the street complained and they had to get rid of their peacocks.
Well, it's nice to live in a town that maybe these are our biggest issues and we're not talking about somebody getting murdered and, all those things.
It keeps up.
There is something involved a rooster collar.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that?
Yep.
Yeah, so maybe that might be a way for Jose to.
Yeah, this is the collar right here.
All right, so we closed the meeting to the public and we're grounded third base. Do we need to do the executive session?
Yes, sir.
Boy, we're right on time. If we finish now, would be a lot accomplished. All right, so we're gonna go into an executive session, and for those that don't know, that means we go in, we may take official action and we may not, but whatever we do, we'll come back. You're welcome to
vote.
stay. If I were you, I'd all leave. Thank you very much, everyone. It's a
Mayor,
pleasure to see you.
Can we get
Good night.
a vote to get a motion to go into
Yep,
executive
can
session?
we have a motion? to
I'll
go
make a
into-
motion to go into executive session.
I'll second it.
Oh, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None? Motion carries. Okay. We put this on pause. We just get the record.
Now we're back on the record after our executive session and,
So for the record, the governing body discussed a property acquisition matter. Direction was given to Sue Honorado Township Administrator with regard to the issue, but no formal action is being taken this time.
thank you. Anybody have any questions or comments? If not, can we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Very nice job, everybody.